What's kind of your reaction to the decision that was made, the guilty verdict, as well as the sentencing today?
A case like this is a tragedy all around for the victim's family, for the family of the defendant, but obviously the jury felt, and I agree, that there are consequences for this kind of behavior, and that's how the justice system works. We just have to have punishment for crime.
So how often is it that a DWI case is able to turn into a murder charge?
Not very often. For a case like this, the defendant would have had to have been convicted twice before at least, and then of course he'd have to have an accident where somebody dies, and that thankfully doesn't happen a lot, although this is not the first time it's ever happened, but I think it is the first time in Hays County that we prosecuted a case like this.
Why was it important for y'all to push for that murder charge?
Because I do think that a person who causes a death while driving intoxicated, who has done it 2, or as in this case 3 times in the past, deserves a different set of consequences than somebody who's never done it before. And that's what the murder charge allowed us to do.
And so something strange that I noticed, I know that the family wasn't too terribly happy about, was that once he was convicted, he was able to still go home for the weekend. Tell me about that process and how that was able to happen.
Once the defendant's on bond, the purpose of bond is to ensure that he shows up for court. And so as long as the judge has no reason to believe he won't reappear, then the judge should not tamper with his bond. In this case, the judge felt like the defendant turning over his driver's license and his passport was sufficient to ensure him not leaving the county and coming back to court, which he obviously did. And so that's why the judge didn't do anything with his bond until the end.
Is that something rare for them to be able to go home on charges as serious as murder?
It's unusual, but this was an unusual case. Most murderers are not people like Jason Tarr. Most of our murderers are not intoxication, manslaughter cases with multiple priors. They're people who kill people for other reasons. And so those are the same kind of people you would think would potentially run when they are convicted and are going to prison. The judge didn't feel that way about Mr. Tarr, so that's why he did what he did.
So I know you guys were pushing for 50 years. It came out 20 years. Is that enough? Do you feel like justice was served for the family?
This is an unusual case, and I don't pretend to have any really better idea of what's justice in this case than the jury did. The jury, I know, thought long and hard about that and came to a consensus opinion on that, so I'm satisfied they did the right thing.
What message do you hope that decision sends to the community, or what message do you want this case to send to the community? Talk to Lawrence.
The message that I would like this case to send to the community is that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter whether or not everybody thinks you're a nice guy or not. When you commit a crime that causes somebody to die, there are serious consequences for that. And those decisions have to be made with that in mind.
And how do you think the family feels? Have you been able to talk to them too terribly much since the sentencing?
The sentencing, of course, just happened, and I haven't had a chance to talk with the family about it. I certainly hope that they have gotten some closure from this and that they feel like justice was served. I certainly hope they felt like we stood up for them as well as we could, and I think we tried to do our best, but I haven't talked to them personally to find out how they feel about it.
So you were talking with the jurors. What was the smoking gun in making this conviction?
The jurors, I think, did feel like the elements of DWI were proven, that the defendant had lost the normal use of his mental and physical faculties. I believe they felt like he was over the legal limit, which is what our evidence was designed to show. And then I think it was a fairly easy decision for them after that to decide that his conduct caused the death of Nancy Sterling Dalton. So I don't think they struggled with too many of the individual facts. I think they struggled on just coming to a consensus on what they all believed.